for me, working at the 8251 was just as good, if not better, than any internship I ever had, because of all the different things you learn. You learn to work on deadline. You learn to work creatively, to be organized, all skills that you're going to use in the workforce. No matter. I always knew I wanted to work in sports, and the fact that they had something that was so focused on that was something that really drew me into Lasell. And then once I went on a tour and saw the campus, and I really enjoyed how close it was to Boston, but also how it felt like you weren't in the city at all. So it was nice, being able to hop on the T at like Riverside or something, and then just being able to go into Boston when you wanted, but then being far enough where it was a lot more kind of chill and relaxed. I started in 2009, which is crazy, making me feel very old. That was 15 years ago now. So yeah, but here I am now. In high school, I became really passionate about sports writing. I used to write about the Red Sox and stuff, and they won the World Series when I was a junior in high school in 2007. So that was a great time to be writing a lot of stuff about the Red Sox. I just did it kind of on Facebook, and worked for like my high school newspaper. And I always just really wanted to, the real goal is I wanted to be, like a journalist, a baseball writer, like a beat writer or something like that. Honestly, like things kind of went a different way where I kind of fell into social media because, when I was applying in high school and stuff, like that stuff didn't even really exist other than like MySpace. So I really kind of fell into the whole social media thing when I was at Lasell, and ended up kind of making a career out of it, which is pretty crazy to think of. My big moment, I'd say, would be, the second semester of my freshman year. We came back. A lot of my friends lived in Woodland. I had a bunch of stuff actually stolen over winter break. So I wrote this big article. I went around like knocking on everyone's doors in the dorm room and asking if they had anything stolen. And there was like 10 different people had stuff stolen, right? So I ended up, reporting all this stuff and writing this big story and doing all this. And I ended up submitting it. And it was like a huge like breaking news story on campus. Someone that lived in one of the dorms knew someone who had a key or something that worked at Lasell, and they ended up using the key to go in and like rob a bunch of people's rooms over winter break. So kind of showing like the power of journalism, that putting this out there and interviewing people at the school, they ended up going through the cameras and got those people caught and got them, expelled or whatever, in trouble. So that was kind of my huge break. Later in my career there, we started kind of putting everything on the site. And, one of my goals was to do a lot of unique content that was like just site only content, and doing stuff like that. So I think that was something that I was really proud of, the fact that we kind of built up that online audience and just put different content out there. It's another spot for people to read our stuff, it's a lot easier, in these days they're on their smartphones to just like send someone a link of a story, like, oh, I read this and here, read this, instead of saying, oh, pick up a copy of the paper when you're at like the, when you're getting food or something like that. So it just made it a lot easier for people to read our stuff. It's important to have students step up as leaders to be able to want to find out, those hard hitting stories and get those questions, those hard hitting questions, ask them to the right people and get that information out to the students. And I think that's, a huge role that the Chronicle and LCTV and the radio and everyone, they do all that good stuff. And, it's just gonna be really fun too. It's a lot less stressful. It's not like job, you don't have like a boss you're reporting to. It's not really the same as that. I always get these emails from Lasell about like donating and stuff, and I'm still paying off my loans, so I wish I was like rich and I could just give them as much money as I can. But like, I try to donate my time instead, and I think that's a lot more valuable in some ways than my money. I feel like that's just kind of anonymous, and like I'm sure it helps out, but to me, it's just being able to get in a one-on-one setting. And I feel like I have a lot of advice, and people will always ask me for advice, and everyone has a different path and a different way to get to where they're at. But yeah, anything I can do to help. Obviously, as I mentioned, like Lasell was a huge moment in my part of my life, and I feel like I learned a lot, and I'm happy to share that what I learned with other people.